Alright, so today I've been getting a lot of private emails and questions about this car. It's been in the background of a number of videos that I've done already, and a number of people come by and have seen it, and I'll answer a few of those questions today. Haven't gotten much of the work videos done on this just because it's kind of been a little bit intense and been concentrating too much and hard to get the stuff filmed at the same time that I'm doing the stuff. But I'm going to go over a couple of those things today and give you an idea of what we're working on and what we're doing with it. And it's a real neat car. Current owner, I've known it through 3 owners now. The current owner bought it based on my recommendation. I told him to go drive it for about 6 months before he finally did. When he did, he called me up and said, "This is a really cool car. I think I'm going to buy it." Not surprised. I would have if I'd had the money, but didn't have the money at the time. And it's a 1981 911 SC. It's been somewhat modified by another shop in the country, not on this part of the country, but another race shop, and they did really good work on it. We're just kind of improving on some of the things for it. And let me show you what they are. It is, as you can see, it says Carrera CS, which stands for Club Sport. It is not a Club Sport. It is basically a Club Sport tribute, but you'll see more of that here as we go on. So inside, we've done quite a bit of work since it came to us. It originally had, excuse me, about $16,000, $17,000 worth of stereo equipment, radar detectors, 360-degree cameras. It had a different steering wheel on it, had a different shift knob on it. Seats were a little bit different. We had to do some repairs and modifications on the seats for the current owner. We changed up the dash a little bit, added a little bin in place of where the radio would be normally. I added a little smiley face because it's just a fun thing to have. Added the Momo. I think this is an 07 steering, a Type 07 steering wheel. Not the typical prototypo. Yeah, it's an 07. Momo steering wheel hub, slightly dished wheel. For this owner, it was my recommendation based on his body size and everything, and it worked out pretty perfect for him. Real happy with it. Nice lightweight gear shift knob. Inside, right now you can see we've got this all open. If you look really close, you can see this shift cable is not the standard shift cable. This is actually a modified cable that we use. Comes off another Porsche. I won't go into which one or anything. It's kind of a little bit of a mod that we do on the cars. This car, as you'll see in a few minutes, when I get there, had originally this is the stock cable, which is a SC cable, style cable. Uses a bell crank that goes on top of the motor. But it's really not a cable. It's a rod. So it's very solid. And the problem when you do some specific modifications, it makes for a very notchy throttle, and it has like a catch in it. And it's very distinct, and it feels very troublesome. It just doesn't feel right. It's not what you'd expect from a Porsche. So to relieve that, we do this different cable, which is actually flexible, and then you don't have that catch in it anymore. It works a lot better. Something we found that's really works well for us. Anyway, we also had to add this plate right here. The car did not come with a Motronic control unit in 1981. It was a CIS injected car. This one has as you can see by the writing on it, a Motronic 993 Vario control unit. Also has a DME relay, a couple different electrical connectors, a little ignition module. And since they've all been added to the car and the wiring harness changed as well, we had this tray kind of to neaten everything up and just keep it all in one place and keep it all secure. Fabricated into place, and where before they were just kind of jumbled underneath the seat and zip tied in, we've now got it all bolted in. There's rubber isolators to insulate it so it doesn't get too much vibrations and cause any problems. We've also changed up the sound insulation in the car quite a bit. If you look inside at the carpets. We took out all the speakers that were in the back. Added lightweight carpet. Quite a bit of sound insulation. I will put some pictures in here of some of the stuff we did, which was very interesting, but it significantly reduced the sound. It's kind of a old trick I've done for years on the race cars to reduce sound, heat, and just overall noise. Makes it easier for the drivers to drive in the race cars, and for him it's going to make it cooler air conditioning and cooler in the Texas hot summers that we have as well. It'll be much quieter inside, more like a new car, if you will, but still be an old 911, which is what we love. Other things we've done or are doing, it's got yellow Bilsteins on it. Those are coming off. It's getting new shocks. I won't go into which ones yet. We'll save that for another video. Brake rotors, it's got 930S calipers on it. Those are going to stay. Rear lower arms have been modified. Rear rotors are a stock rotor, but not stock to this car. It had a fairly large torsion bar there. We are keeping torsion bars for the suspension. They work great. No reason to change them. We are changing the size of it, though, and we're going against all common logic of what most people say. We're actually going with a smaller bar. We'll see how it handles, and we'll have some drive videos for that. We're going to change up some oil lines as well, do some other things there, some basic maintenance on it. You can see down here we've got some long lines, and we'll get this car up in the air in just a minute and show you why we're doing those and what it all entails. These metal lines that you see right here, these two, these are kind of interesting. Because the bottom end, I'll show you, are underneath the car. These top ends right here, they go over here. And, well, first off, let me get the elephant in the room, if you will. That is not a stock 911 SC motor. That is a 993 Varioram motor. Much more torque from it. Still has had an air conditioner added to it. This one has put out 280 horsepower to the rear wheels. Stock, they were 282. So it's had a couple little things done to it. But anyway, it's a fun little car. GT3 rear muffler and exhaust. I'll show you that when we go underneath. But back to those two steel lines. Those two ends right there come up here. One goes up here, and one goes all the way back there. So that's where the two lines start, and I will show you where they finish here in just a minute as we go up in the air. Let's go up. Try to make this fast for you.
Why are you coughing like that all of a sudden, man?
Yeah, I don't know.
You got COVID?
I think it was just drank something and...
Because everybody's getting that shit. I'm like, damn.
Sometimes I get like that.
All right, cool. Like, I'm going to have to edit all that cough out for you.
Edit it out or just put in there, sorry about the cough.
I'm like, I can't get sick. I fly tomorrow.
You can fast forward this too.
That's why I'm filming it.
All right, ready to slow down? So underneath, we've got some different headers. GT3 rear muffler. We've since added, the car was a little bit loud when we first got it, and it only had this pipe right here. So I had our fabricator fabricate this secondary pipe up here, get a little more exhaust volume through the muffler. It helped a little bit. It quieted it down some. Love his welding. It almost looks like it's a stock piece, but obviously it's not. It quieted it down some. We're going to see how it is, see how the owner likes it. We may end up adding something else to it another time. I actually think we could add some cats to this car, some small race flow 200 cell cats or even 100 cell cats. And I think they would do great. I think they'd quiet it down. I think they'd take away some of the fuel smell when it does smell a little bit rich. I think it'd be much better, but we'll see. So those two lines that I showed you over here, these two steel lines, showed you where they go up on top. They come down here. They snake all the way to here. These are the two other ends of the lines. So you can see they go up, around, through the cross member, up onto the side of the engine over there. And believe it or not, we've been able to do this job with the engine and transmission still being in the car. This is the other end of the throttle cable that you see. And now it's rather than being a solid rod, it's a flexible cable, which works much better. So the reason we replace these two fuel lines, these two steel lines, is if you look at these ends, they had a considerable amount of rust on them. And we just did not feel comfortable and did not want this car going up in smoke. So we decided to replace all the fuel lines on it. These are the old ones. These two right here are what they connect to. They actually connect to those two fittings right there. So those two right there are what they're connected to right here. And you can see we've already replaced them. So the new ones are already in the car. So those two lines right there, which are these two lines, run right there inside the tunnel, which you can't see, so I can't really show you. It's basically inside the tunnel, all the way along here, all the way here, and come out up here. So now you've got the flexible side of the line. Comes out here. They go over the steering rack. They come down. One goes to the fuel pump, which is right here. It's the banjo fitting. The other one goes to the tank, right there. The reason we replaced these, if you look, also all rusted and just in really bad shape. Same thing here. All rusted. The swivels are, and there's literally rust falling out of them as I move them. And the hoses themselves, I mean, they're just waiting to break. I would not be surprised if I break one off, but I'm not going to try too hard the way I'm holding this flashlight, but they're the original lines, and it was definitely past time. So, we're also going to add a isolator. Later cars, the G-body cars and the 993s had a big rubber isolator that went around the fuel pump. We're going to add that to this car, help make it a little bit quieter so you don't hear the fuel pump inside the cabin. So, on the front suspension, it already had a number of upgrades. Owner decided to go with a blade type sway bar, which you can see over here. Blade type sway bar makes it easily adjustable. It's a little bit lighter, much better overall. One of the things when we bought the car that we didn't know when we went to replace the sway bar, pulled the sway bar, the old sway bar off. It had a old, what was it? It wasn't an Elephant Racing one. This is an Elephant Racing bar, but it was a Smart Racing bar. So we took the old Smart Racing bar off, and when we did, took the equivalent of this off, we noticed there was cracks around the stress cracks around the body for it. So we had to have those welded up. We welded them up. Elephant Racing makes a plate that goes on here, which you can kind of see the ridges for right there. All that plate got welded all the way around. We got it painted, got it undercoated. We're going to come back and paint this whole fender well. We've got some more work and some more modifications we're doing in here. Getting new struts, getting new brake lines for it. We're going to take these off and replace them. Reroute the AC lines a little bit. And redo the front torsion bars as well, and also redo the bushings in the front and rear arms. The bushings, if you look, a little bit hard to tell, but if you look at that bushing, you can see how it's not in the perfect center of it. The stock bushings tend to deform just from the stress and weight of the car. When they do, they take a set and they just don't work like they should. So we're going back with some different bushings. A little bit different in stock, but not much. No squeak or anything, no race bushes, anything like that. Same thing with the rears. The rears are a little more obvious. These are the rear spring plates. This is the rear bushing. You can really tell how oblong that one is, or how off-center it is, if you will. So that's the rear torsion bar goes through there. So we're going to fix that up and make that like new again. Owner of this car wanted it light, which we love. So we did also go with a lighter starter. It's a high torque, lightweight starter. It's in the car. Interestingly enough, you know, you think things are going to be simple, like unbolting the starter and rebolting the starter, and it should be so simple, right? But in this case, because it's got a different wiring harness in the car, wiring harness did not reach where the new starter was, because the new starter is smaller, so it sits in a little different place. So we had to reroute some of the wiring harness for it. As well, we had to take off some of the lines for the heater box to run the fuel lines. When we did that, the screws were rusted for the rod for the heater valves. So we're having to redo some of that. So, like any old car, there's always a couple little things you add on, you discover when you get there. So, anyway, that is it, I think, for this one for now. I'll try to do some more videos on it. No promises. Like I said, it's been pretty hectic when we are working on it. It's a really neat car. One of my favorites. One of my best customers. I will promise that we will do a drive video on it when it's all done. Whether it be the customer driving it or me driving it, I'm not sure, but maybe even take it out on track. We'll see. I'm sure it'll stay on track once or twice and make sure the previous owners see its new state. Because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Have a great day. Hope all's well. See ya. Just dry up. I need some water or something.